What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you've been enjoying all the episodes so far, if you've binged them, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to the content and really hope you've been enjoying the content so far. If you have, feel free to like, subscribe, wherever you get your podcasts, and also, leave a comment down below if you want me to talk about anything specific. For the first time, we actually decided to bring in a guest host today. And it was with great pleasure that I was able to interview one of my good mates, Nathan Liberto, who has started a clothing brand, The Requried Co. So we kind of just touch into his life and basically how he kind of used his sporting background and his football background to I guess, move into what is now a pretty decently successful clothing brand and continuing to grow on the day-to-day basis. So yeah, really good listen. We did have a bit of a little lag spike. There was a power outage at Nathan's place. So probably at the end of the video, you might see a bit of a difference in kind of our audio volumes and tones. So just keep out for that. But yeah, I guess just wanted to give you a little intro before the intro to enjoy this. And if you have enjoyed interviews like this, feel free to let me know as well, so I can potentially bring some more people. There is plans of bringing some guests as well in the future too. So really excited for that. But again, this is the first one, so always keen to hear your feedback wherever it is necessary as well in other episodes too. So yeah, sit back, enjoy this one. It's a little bit of a long one, but again, a very entertaining one. Welcome to the Huddle Within podcast, where we go beyond the surface to uncover the real impact of sports in our lives, whether it's lessons of resilience, the passion that fuels us, or the stories that connect us all. This is where the game gets personal. I am Daniel, a regular sports fan like you, and together we'll explore what sports truly means beyond the surface. So step right into the huddle and let's get into it. They all talk about everything they talk about. People are going to listen because they can say, oh, they're experts, they know things. But
they've got social proof.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is like be a regular person, like most of these sports fans, and kind of get them to see like deeper perspectives of sports and what sports truly means.
I was going to say, I think it's a good idea because I'm not like coming from here.
Yeah,
like you'll be surprised how many like pro athletes, ex-pro athletes, like how deep their like whole journey goes, like for themselves.
exactly.
Yeah, like you could really like get some good stories out. I'd be keen to watch them, swear. Like it'd be interesting.
Thank you. Because I'm like you, I agree. Like I see like it took me a while to be honest, because I was a kid, I used to give it to fucking athletes. But as I grew up, I realized I'm like, it's just like us, bro. But they just got there. They just got there, and like once they get there, everyone's jumping on the train to like expect that they're fucking gonna be just normal people. But they're trying to like do this shit with their lives, and then everyone thinks that they're superhuman. And I'm just like, man, no way.
Yeah, it'd be cool to like if you can get some like pro athletes, it'd be cool to hear like what they used to do when they were younger, like what they sacrificed, like what troubles has it caused them? Like, if you got really like peeled the layers off the onion and like got real deep, and like bro, you could extract some pretty good shit.
So we've got Nath here. It's our first guest of the Huddle Within. So Nath, you're the first one. How's it feel being the first guest on my podcast?
I'm excited. Obviously, you've been telling me you've been working on it for a long time, so keen to be the first guest, like pretty honoured. I'm keen to see what it brings.
Yeah, it'd be good. I think, well, when I messaged you this morning, you did say you were keen at like 3:51 a.m. and I'm thinking, what the fuck is this bloke doing waking up at that time? And then you ended up, going on a 13K run or something?
Yeah, I did. I always do it, to be fair. Like, always like exercising in the morning. And I think as I've gotten a bit older, I kind of like gets just a little bit earlier and earlier every time. To be fair, that was a bit of an outlier. It's normally getting up at 4:30 in the morning these days. But yeah, I got up at like 3:45 and I was like, I've got to get up in like half an hour anyway. So I thought, might as well get up, get it done.
Yeah, that's it. And you do runs as well. Oh, not runs. Sorry, you just did a fucking run, but like a swimming, and you ride as well normally. So
Yeah.
how do you kind of split it? Because I've always actually wondered, because I've seen you do it, put it on post, but you've never really given
Yeah.
me like the structure of it. So
I usually follow a program, so
yeah,
normally it's pretty good. Like I've obviously like done a few marathons and whatnot, but with the triathlons that I've only recently picked up, you can kind of just go and go and go because you can just if you want to run, you can run, and then if you're a little bit sore, like you've run like 25, 30 kilometers over 3 or 4 days, whatever, you can swim and like it's using completely different parts of your body. But yeah, that's normally how I go about it. So it's been good for me to be honest, and like yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I don't plan to like stop anytime soon.
yeah. I mean, last year you did something really incredible, which was complete an Ironman, and that kind of, if for those that don't know, pretty much inspired all our mates to fucking do a marathon this year. So I just guess I want to talk about basically that journey first before we kind of get into everything else about that. Yeah, that fucking Iron Man, because that looked absolutely
Yeah.
cooked. But it's such a big achievement, probably one of the biggest achievements I've seen anyone do. So yeah, I wanted to just kind of get your feelings about that and that journey too.
Basically, kind of got over running marathons. I had run a few and whatnot, and I was just wanted to try something different, challenging. I've always just like challenging myself. I'm a big believer that you need to find comfortability in being uncomfortable. So like I've always tried and sourced like the most uncomfortable situations within reason, like for physical exercise to do that, and then try and like find peace within doing that. So I thought the next thing on my list was yeah, a triathlon, and then yeah, just me being me, I thought, let's not do an Olympic triathlon. Let's not do like a mini one. I'll just try and do a half Ironman, which was a 1.9k swim, a 90k bike ride, and a half marathon at the end. But yeah, I think the whole journey was really, really like impressive. Like I just enjoyed how much I learnt about myself on the whole journey. You find that when you are like sticking to a routine, doing these large volume of training and whatnot, you honestly find like a new person within yourself, and you realize what you can withstand and what you can like handle. And I've always like got a buzz off that feeling, and it gets addictive. It's
Oh, I
like,
could imagine.
and it also puts things into perspective. Like, um, a lot of people complain about they're tired or normal stresses of life and whatnot, but you don't really know until like you push yourself and what you can handle, and then normal everyday stresses don't become that much of a stressful situation anymore. So like it was just a compounding effect. So that
Yeah.
was the whole idea behind it, and then obviously I ended up enjoying it and whatnot, and it's why I'm still continuing to do them now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think for me, when I've just started to get into marathon training, I kind of see where you say that you kind of learn to test yourself, and you find a different perspective on I guess who you are as well. Because there are times where I'm doing a marathon and I'm thinking, like, I can't do it, I can't finish, and then the next minute I get
Mm.
through that kilometer, I finish the race, I just actually feel like
Yeah.
I'm on top of the world. And I think that kind of adrenaline and that feeling is something that is truly addicting. And speaking of something addictive, something that you're going into, and I think this is probably the main thing we're going to talk about, is yeah, your new clothing brand, the Required. I just wanted to know, I guess, a lot about that. It seems as though it's going really well, and that's why I've got you on today to kind of like discuss it. And since you've spoke about it with kind of the Iron Man as well and how that's influenced you, I feel like it does intertwine with what I talk about normally, and that is the deeper connections with sports. So yeah, just tell us a bit
Yeah.
about the Required before we kind of get into some other questions too.
Yeah, the Required Co. Was an idea, I would say, probably 2.5 years ago. I honestly think it was just an idea, and I obviously have always grown up loved my fashion. I loved my clothes, and for me, clothing and sport was always a way to fuel my confidence. Whenever I had self doubt or whatnot, or wasn't feeling like, you know, 100% myself, wasn't like my confidence wasn't through the roof. Like, I wasn't always like how I am now. I used to be pretty shy and timid. But the way I would find that confidence and those extra layers was either through my sporting ability, or it was through clothes. Like I used to like to wear, and from me gaining attention from my clothes gave me an extra layer of confidence. And basically, the Requried Co. like its tagline is to impose need. So I just wanted to basically build something that outlaid that feeling on other people. So yeah, that's how it started, and then yeah, I got to work with it. I would say not last year, but the end of the year before, so 2023, like December sometime. Started drafting a few things, illustrating a few designs, coming up with a name, changing logos left and right. And then, yeah, it just kind of, yeah, compounded from that. And then one thing led to another. I like made up my first collection. Everything was still under wraps, like no one knew. I did a lot of it behind the scenes until
Mm.
like I felt like I had everything ready. And then yeah, one thing led to another, and yeah, I would say it kind of kicked off with photo shoots and whatnot around November last year.
Yeah.
But I officially launched the brand, I think it was the 6th of Jan this year, and dropped the 21st. So that's like, yeah, brief story of like how it started and like my mission and value behind the brand. I think like to its core, anyone that's spoken to me and like it has gotten like a little bit of publicity for like how small
Yeah.
it is. I do say, and I stick true to it, that at the end of the day, I'm literally just making clothes for my best mates. Like
Yeah.
that's all I want to do. Like it's the biggest appreciation is when like right now I see my mate wearing my stuff. Like
Really fucking good,
I've
by the
seen
way.
people outing it. Yeah, thanks. I've seen random people out in it a few times, and it's like, honestly, like to its core, that's why I've started, and that's why I'll keep on doing it till it's like a success. Because I think, yeah, that's the main value that I take out of it is like making clothes for my mates, and if it becomes anything more, yeah, so be it. I'll strive for it to be something more, but to its core, that's its true meaning.
Yeah, I do remember you saying that you wanted to get the clothes for the lads. So as soon as like you did release, I was
Yeah,
keen on wearing it. And yeah, obviously currently wearing it right now. Hopefully you guys get the
yeah,
chance to get on that second drop because obviously the first drop has been sold out. But have a look at the page as
yeah.
well, look at the content that's there. But I guess when you mentioned sports, because I actually met you obviously. So a quick funny story, guys. The first time I met Nate, we were playing futsal, which when I was about maybe 10 years old, we actually played on these like little outdoor courts, and the weather was really hot, mind you. And I think our team won the game, and there was this kid, little kid, that lost the game and just started full paz out crying. And then his mum had to call him out. And I remember the mum saying, I know her mum very well now, but her mum saying, or his mum saying, Nathan, stop it, enough. And then I'm thinking in my head, who the fuck is this kid just having a cry? And then my mum's like, whoever that kid is the biggest sook. And then, like, later
Yeah.
on, I realized, because you know how I knew Nate, to be honest? Like, that group, the first
How?
person, guess who's the first person I fucking picked up on in your team? Like, the most obvious person that was in your team at the time.
And
Before, yeah, and with the full fucking elbow pads, everything, bro.
yeah,
My
yeah,
mum used to
mate.
get cut at me because I was keeper, and she used to be like, "Anth comes prepared." He didn't know who he was at the time. Like, Anthony comes prepared. He's got all the pads and
Yeah,
everything. You've got nothing. You're not being safe and
yeah,
all this. But anyway, that's how I knew it was the team. So then when I met you at school in high school, that's when we actually first became mates because we
yeah,
were in the same class in year seven. I made that
yep,
resemblance. But yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is that yeah, we've met through soccer, and you
mm,
wanted to tell me about that story and why we spoke about it before, why you did cry, and it
yeah,
did come from, I guess you mentioned like your competitive nature and stuff, and it makes sense because I fucking hate losing because I can imagine you'd probably hate it more with those reactions. So
yeah,
yeah, that was the
yeah.
first
I
time.
just
So
yeah, yeah, it was actually. No, I even like I'm old enough to admit it now. Like I'm not embarrassed about it anymore. But I even used to do it sometimes at school. Like we used to play every like when I was younger, like in
yeah,
primary school. But I think it came down to like and obviously like when you're younger and like people see around you like oh like he's been a baby whatever, which I
yeah,
probably was. But I think it more comes down to I still to this day like don't like being shit at anything I do. Like I always like want to win. Like I'm competitive. I don't see a point in like doing something if you're just going to do it for fun. Like I don't see the point of it. So I've always just hated losing. Like it was always it got to me. It made me feel like feel bad, and I didn't like the feeling, and like
Yeah.
that's where it stemmed from. And then like as I got older, I think now I can control my emotions, but I it's still like I thank myself for it to this day. Like because I probably wouldn't be the person I am now just because I always want to be better than I was yesterday, and I think that it stems from like my roots as a kid, like
Yeah.
not wanting to lose, always like whether it was football or like my brand now or whatnot, it was always like whoever I was around, in my head I was going to be the best. Like whether I was or I wasn't, I wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like I think that's like probably why I got fairly far in football, and whatnot. So, yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah,
Like, talk
yeah.
about that. Talk about your football journey. I know obviously a lot about it, being your mate growing up, but
Mm,
you've always been a top quality player, and that's not me saying it biased because he's my best mate. He's gone through a lot of clubs, but I'll
yeah,
let you share that journey as well from your football because it obviously carries into like the
yeah,
triathlons that you mentioned, and then now the clothing brand, and then
yeah,
that inspiration, and that's what we want to talk about here on this podcast is how we use sports to incorporate that into our personal and daily lives, and people don't really know
yeah,
the journey that we go through. Like you started as a kid being competitive and not wanting to lose, and then that's probably not to the point as you mentioned of you crying and like being a sook about it in real life, but having that motivation and knowing how painful it is to be like subpar or sub average or sub better than normal.
yeah.
So yeah, talk about your journey of football and kind of like that history as well.
Yeah. It's long. It's a long
It's
journey,
yeah, we
but
got time.
yeah. Basically, yeah. I started playing football. I think when I was about five and whatnot. Went to like the local soccer club, Green Gully it was at the time, and yeah, did like played youth, played juniors. I didn't really hit the ground running with football until I reckon I was like 11. When
Mhm.
I was about 11 or 12, something just switched in my head, and it's all it was. Like, everything was football. When I mean, like, I would, like, get in trouble at school for drawing, like, soccer boots on the back of, like, a ruler, or, like, the back pages of my math or English book. Like, it was football, football, football. I trained every day, and that just went on for years and years and years. So, and then as I got older, like I could withstand more, train more, I was getting better. So, I mean, when I was like at school and whatnot, I would be waking up early, going training. I would be like coming home from school, training, sometimes leaving early from school to train, like back in like the victory days and whatnot. I had to leave early from school a few times. But yeah, even like when it was school holidays and whatnot, I always was fixated with at least training 3 hours a day, every day on football. Or else I thought in my head, and this probably comes back to the competitive nature, or the discipline, whatever, however you want to look at it. I thought I was cheating myself if I wasn't doing that. I thought, then what's the point? Like, what's the point of me doing that? Like, I know how hard it is to make this, and like nothing worth having, whether it's for sport or business or whatnot, life is nothing worth having is easy. Like it's hard. So I always like I had drummed that thanks to my dad as well. Like my dad wasn't hard on me, but like he just did everything for me to succeed. Like in like wanted me to train more, like whatnot, push myself, and then I just like kind of yeah took it on with myself. I was like, right, this is me. And it's literally been the same since I reckon I was about 15. It stemmed from football, then to the way I was eating, my eating habits. I used to just, you would know, like when we used to go, I didn't eat out for like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I didn't eat out for dinner for like until I was about 20.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It's
I
true.
didn't go out and eat yeah, go out and eat dinner and whatnot, like out like at a restaurant or anything. I just come have like a water or whatnot and come with the boys to socialize. But then, yeah, obviously, as I got a bit older, I thought like, it's probably not socially acceptable.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I started to eat and whatnot. Yeah, but then like to its core, back to the point, um, yeah, it mainly just like made me disciplined.
Yeah.
Football made me disciplined, which then made me disciplined in my everyday life, which now makes me disciplined in my business. It gave me this work ethic and drive that like if you put in the yards, you'll get the results. Like I'm a firm believer of that. Like if you work hard, I believe people that work hard get lucky. They make their own luck, or they get lucky and then they know when the opportunity comes from the luck, they know what to do with it because they've worked hard for it.
100%.
So yeah,
Well,
that's in terms of the football journey. Yeah, it led me to like play at Adelaide United for a few years and whatnot, and then obviously play at a high level like locally at MPL. So yeah, it's taken me places, which is good, and like yeah, that's probably my journey in a nutshell.
I wanted to talk about, I guess, your road to Adelaide United. So before that, you were obviously trying to get into Victory and City and even Central Coast. And people don't know that you actually did get knocked back from those places. But I think it was, I don't know if this is true, you can confirm with me or not, but they mentioned that you were, I guess, too skinny. And then I remember you going on a full like gym tear and looking absolutely ripped and rinsed. And then you got that selection from Adelaide. And when you were 18 years old, you actually had to literally move all your life, leave busy and hope for Melbourne. And I got a lot of family from Adelaide, so I know how that city's like. And then you finding out that you had to leave there, just kind of leave to Adelaide, just kind of, I guess, touch on that journey and like how difficult it was for you to kind of at 18 years old have all your best mates. You need to live into another city, it's a whole another city. And mind you, for those that haven't been to Adelaide, there's not really much there. And you also did have to be in a share home as well. So you weren't actually living with yourself, you had to live in a bit of a share home too. And I guess the reason why I'm bringing it up is because that is kind of sort of the professional pathway that a lot of athletes go through. And I think people don't know about that as well, that they have to leave their homes, sometimes other side of the world, other countries at even younger ages. But even yourself being 18, moving to another city, away from your family, away from anything you know. Just touch on that, because again, this all builds up to what you're doing at the moment. So I'm very interested to hear, I guess, what you have to say and how that kind of inspired you, because people probably don't know about this. They probably think that from what they see is none of this. They probably don't know. So I do, and I'd love for you to share it. So
Yeah. No, so basically, the road to like the whole Adelaide United journey was, honestly, like to put it short, I'll expand on it, but to put it short was just grafting, hard work, non-stop training when I didn't want to, like just putting in the yards and then eventually getting the reward for it. But yeah, like I said just before, basically got knocked back by a few A-League clubs for being, quote unquote, too small, too skinny. Technically it was fine. Like I think I've always been, that was one of my strengths in football. I was technically like pretty good. But it was too small, too skinny. So I decided to take it seriously with what I was putting into my body, my nutrition, which, just compounded, and I keep going back to this because it's such a pillar in my life, the discipline. Like, it just compounded and compounded and compounded, and, from getting knocked back from the previous A-League clubs, I was just like, I'll do whatever it takes to get there. Like, I will do anything, and like I did. Like, I went for, the whole eating, training, like I said, minimum 3 hours a day. It was every day. And then it came about. I signed at Bulleen for the MPL season. I had just turned 16, so I went to Adelaide United at 18. Sorry.
Yes.
So I signed at Bulleen 16. Fast forward, I was at George Cross, and then I was training with Victory and whatnot, and then it was about the end of the year. I got a call from one of the scouts at Adelaide United, and they said, "Do you want to come up for a trial?" Over it was just before Christmas. It would have been first, second week of December. I remember we finished exams.
Yeah,
we finished year 12 exams.
I do.
It was like November, and I left like a week later.
Yeah, you didn't get to come to schoolies with us.
I didn't go. Yeah, I didn't go to schoolies. That's right.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
No, and then I ended up going to Adelaide and had like 4 trials there, and then the coach basically said to me as I was going home, he's like, we'll confirm to you like whether what we think and whatnot, and then he just kind of hinted to my dad like, mate, he'll be moving here. And then a week later got the call and like was over the moon. Best experience ever. just like obviously fulfilling that dream at like such an early age to be like, all right, I'm on that journey to being a pro footballer, you know, like signing at Adelaide United and whatnot. And then yeah, it was good, it was great, and then nothing changed when I got there. Obviously, yeah, I have, like you were saying, I don't think people realise how hard it is to just pack up your bags and leave. That's why I've got massive respect to like any athlete that does that and can withstand it, because people, I don't think people really know unless they're in it at like a high level how much your mood fluctuates as an athlete, because it's based on week by week. Like it's such a high pressure environment that like everyone's replaceable.
Yeah.
If you're not performing, you're on the verge of being out the door, and then you know you've got to start again. So it's all that's that pressure of like working hard, being disciplined, being consistent, like always playing at a good level, which is like another thing that like I really resonate with now is like consistency. Like if you're disciplined and consistent, like you'll, and that's like a lot of athletes I'm sure will have the same mentality that like with discipline and consistency, like you'll get where you need to get to. It's just about doing it over and over and over and over again. So yeah, I went to Adelaide, signed there, was playing and whatnot. But if I'm completely honest, I did not on the pitch. I was fine. I was playing very well. It was more mentally. I I wasn't as mentally strong then as I am now. And I'm probably thankful for what's happened. It's made me like the way I am now. Like 4 or 5 years ago, what happened with Adelaide United. Actually a bit longer, mate, like 6 or 7. But
Time flies.
I yeah, I found it pretty tough. Like I was getting homesick. Didn't like my living situation. I was obviously, as you were saying, I lived in like a share house, and it wasn't a share house with teammates or whatnot. It was with some random family,
Mm.
like with like a father, a wife, a father, a mother, kids that I didn't even know, and I was a pretty timid, shy boy at the time, so I used to just stay in my room. And yeah, it doesn't take much to like, you know, let things slip into your mind. You have one bad game, whatnot, then you're all on your own. The city of Adelaide is dead.
Yeah, it's
Not much
nothing.
going
I remember
on.
we went together. I remember I
It's
came.
a coming. Yeah,
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 yes,
yeah. I
actually,
came
yeah,
and
you
visited
did
you,
come. Yeah,
and we did. There wasn't much we could do.
yeah.
Remember that stupid
No,
story that I
literally.
had?
Yeah,
Do you remember when
yeah,
when I went to that bar together and I pretended to go out and have a ciggy and you told all the boys about it and I
yeah.
was stood. I was there. I went and so I sorry to interrupt, but I went and visited Nath in Adelaide because obviously I have family there, as
Yeah,
mentioned before, and I just
yeah,
tried to visit Nath and see how things were. So I probably didn't actually like have the experience that you had, but just seeing how you were kind of your situation was the fact that you were in that room and you didn't even know all that family stuff, and I
yeah,
came and visited, and then like just being in
yeah,
Adelaide and how it was like, as you said, like that would have been so stressful. So
yeah.
yeah, just continue. Just thought I'd add that in anyway.
It's pretty rough. It was just quiet, like not much going on. But like, all I did was train because I literally I didn't have many friends there as well at the time. I had a few, which I'm still close with now, but yeah, I found it hard mentally, and that's then I came back, and then um, yeah, I left. Obviously, I left Adelaide United on my terms because I was like, you know, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm mentally not. And like at the time, I was probably like, I was training with the first team here and there a little bit, but at the time, I probably wasn't going to get a proper look in to play in the A League.
Mhm.
Like right then and there, I was only young, but like for me, it was like I was a bit naive, a bit impatient, and because I was mentally struggling, I was like, well, if it's not going to happen now, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But it kind of yeah, like I said, it's made me the person I am today. Like mentally, like I like now. That's I try and challenge myself all the time, like to try and like become mentally tougher, withstand more things because yeah, obviously good opportunities if you're not prepared for them can slip and go away. But I think the whole journey, yeah, has been like unreal. And then obviously I still played at a high level for the next 7 years down here. And yeah, it's just like that competitive mentality to like keep going, to be better every day, which passes through to my external training now with all the triathlon stuff I'm doing and the clothing brand. Like that's why I really like take inspiration from like football and all that because of the values it gave me to like build a successful brand. I think they just like intertwine with each other.
100%. And I think, yeah, for sure, like the experience that you've gone through, people will say like, oh, he didn't make all this, but I completely disagree. I think the reason why it happened was to build this character and to build this kind of tough mental frame
Mm,
for you to go out and explore new things about yourself. Because, yeah, you're taking real passion into being a triathlete, and you're taking a lot of those passions into this clothing brand, and those passions that you had for football when you were a kid, with that drive, that success, that entertainment, and all the I guess learnings from that, has kind of shifted you forward into what you're doing now. And you're having that same kind of worth ethic, but now with a stronger mind and a stronger mentality. So I think that just speaks waves. And it does definitely come from, I guess, this journey of sports. And another one that we're going to mention is you did have actually an awful setback as well, because people don't know about this either. But when you actually came back from Adelaide and then you did sign for Bulleen, you had a massive injury, tore your ACL. And I
yeah,
just
that's,
wanted
I
to
don't know
talk
how I've
about,
forgotten that.
yeah, oh, that's something I remembered for sure. But that's probably another setback, Nate. Like, people don't understand. Like, you've just come from like having in your mind at the time. I'm not going to try to speak for you at this point, but you probably would have thought you failed at that time, not being a professional footballer. It didn't work. This. Then you're coming back to Melbourne, trying to kind of get your career back on track, trying to still make that dream of playing
Mm,
football at a pretty decent level. For those that don't know much about NPL. NPL is the semi-professional league here in Australia, and obviously Nate is in the Victorian one, and he's been playing that for 6 or 7 years now. And basically, the good thing about it is that I guess with NPL you don't have the exact pressures of being an athlete, a full-time like professional, but you're also
yeah.
making some decent money and you're able to work on the side. So that's quite a good benefit. But without blabbering on, yeah, you done your ACL, and I guess that was just an awful setback, because just coming from, yeah, not making professional, then to that, having like, you must have felt like football wasn't for you, or there was a sign. But yeah, talk to me about that, and I guess how you went through that and then continue to still remain playing NPL for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did my knee, yeah, pretty bad, ruptured like my whole ACL was out for like just under a year. I think I came back playing like 11 months later. So it's like one of the most extensive injuries you can get, but yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking when it happened, but I didn't, if I'm completely honest, it didn't like get me down too much. Like
That's
I
good.
said, I was just like pretty up. My rehab was unreal. I was very disciplined. It's almost like, yeah, I just looked at it as like, I'm gonna come back stronger.
Mm.
Like I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna come back stronger, whatnot. And I thank myself for how great I did my rehab because I don't really have problems with my knee now. But yeah, I also like take it as I've gotten older, sorry, that like every setback just basically makes for a better story when you
Yeah.
get to where you want to get. It's just like stacking on. I think that's a great way to look at it, and that's how I look at it these days. Is like something bad happens, like drastically or whatnot, whether it's football, business, whatnot, the mentality to have is, you know what, when I do get to where I want to get to, because I'm going to get there, it's just going to make the story that much better.
Yeah. Well, that's
So yeah,
awesome.
I think it taught me doing my knee that, um, yeah, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but just discipline. Like,
Oh,
just to come back, be stronger, like, the mental edge it gave me. Yeah, it's just like, my whole journey from like probably like 15 to now is just discipline compounding and compounding and compounding on each other.
yeah. Well, 100%. Well, I think
Yeah.
the fact that you even forgot about it just shows that how, I guess, not easy, but
Yeah,
how
true.
strong your mind was to just go through it and literally virtually act like it didn't happen. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, basically, yeah, I forgot about it.
We spoke about your story, basically, your football journey, and kind of going through all those things, and you've touched up on, yeah, your discipline, your hard work, and we've sort of mentioned like a little bit of how that's tied into your brand. But I guess the reason of this podcast is to mainly talk about what you're doing right now, and that's this crazy brand that you're running, the Requried Co. And yeah, I did see that you've put in like a lot of footballing culture as well, sports like inspiring kind of photos. I saw like on Instagram you had the little photo shoot with the net from Inzaghi in his head, and you had like Del Piero and Zidane together. You had Henri with the glasses. Kind of like talk me through how like the sporting culture and the football culture are immersed and kind of connected to your brand, and what inspired you doing that.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, growing up, it's all I really knew was football, and obviously it's inspired by racewear as well, and that comes from the roots of my dad,
Yeah,
who always been a massive Formula One fan. So I used to, get up with him to watch the races. He was always up crazy hours of the morning to watch the races and whatnot. So growing up, they were the two things I enjoyed the most. Like I loved both of them heaps. Football obviously a little bit more, but then moving forward, I always used to when I would go out and whatnot, thrift old racing shirts and whatnot. I love the aesthetic appeal of it. Likewise with football, I used to love wearing football kits and whatnot, the whole vintage aesthetic. So I thought I want to make a brand. I love my clothes and whatnot. I want to make a brand that really resonates with those roots and can like make an identity through that. So yeah, it felt only right to like with the whole marketing campaign and whatnot was to grab inspiration deep down in those football roots and motorsport roots through like mimicking and getting inspiration from those photos. As like you said, they're like iconic photos of Ruud Gullit, Thierry Henry, Del Piero, and the rest. So yeah, that was the main driving factor. In terms of inspiration for that shoot in particular was definitely, my roots from football and motorsport.
oh, awesome. Are you thinking about doing some more? Because I honestly really love the photos. I feel like they were like to the T of what those old school things are.
I definitely am. I mean, it's like, I just think there's so much untouched and untapped content there and like
For sure.
inspiration that no one's really gone through. And if you've got a creative mind for it, you can really bring iconic moments back to life in your own way, which is what I'm basically trying to do. And it obviously, it went pretty well. Like and whatnot, the first drop, the first gear collection that came out, end up selling out.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was great. So yeah, I mean, if it's working, keep doing it, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely something I do want to re-tap into for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I did know when you were growing up, you always used to wear like the little retro jackets and all the races before you kind of made this brand. So it's no surprise to me that you went with that kind of style and that interest. Because like for people that don't know Nath, he's always wore those kind of like sparky outfits with that little race wear gear and stuff. So the fact that you've actually made your own brand similar to that, it does really look and show into the clothes as well. Especially for me,
Yeah.
seeing what you used to wear in the past as well. Personally, it's not my biggest style. Like I love this t-shirt. I don't
Yeah.
know if I could rock it, but for Nave, 100%, you rock it. You rock it to the T. So it's good to see. And yeah, I think it's a weird one, but I think your Italian culture is strict by it as well. Obviously, Italy in the past has been a very big like fashion city, especially in Milan. And you've also back in the 90s, you had all those like AC Milan and Inter Milan kits that just looked unbelievable. Even the Juventus ones, especially with kind of those like Italian brands such as Kappa. So it's awesome to see kind of how you're replicating that through this brand of Requried Crow. And I
Yeah.
think that's so awesome. And then the same with F1, obviously Ferrari being a massive constructors team in Ferrari in Formula One too. So it's cool to see how you're kind of immersing that together and putting out this piece of clothing. And I've looked at the second drop, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, this is not even me just being biased. It looks unbelievable, and I'm actually super keen for it. I guess to ask the audience, when do you think the second drop is going to come?
Oh, I would say, obviously there's a lot of behind the scenes work.
Yeah,
And without giving too much away, it'll be within the next 3 to 4 months, I would
nice.
say. I don't want to give too much away, but there's obviously a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, but it's not too far away, and yeah, good things are worth waiting for, I guess. So hopefully the same result happens. But I'm definitely working hard on it. So yeah, I can't wait to like show people
Sure.
show the world basically what I'm creating, and hopefully
Yeah.
they reciprocate it the same as I would.
Yeah, well, let's talk about actually your hard work. So I know you've been doing like a lot of sampling and stuff, and a lot of planning that goes into it. And this kind of ties into your football journey with getting your nutrition done for 3 hours and working hard in the gym on a daily basis and every day being football. How is that kind of similar to the Requried Co in terms of your planning, in terms of your work ethic? Because I know it's probably not physical, but the same kind of routine, efforts, and discipline is required to make this brand. So I don't think a lot of people know how much work you actually put into the brand. I know you do mention it on your TikToks. You put a lot of little reels out showing that process, but I guess I want to hear it exclusively from yourself. Like I think to the lead up of the first drop is probably what I'm more asking, and then now moving forward to kind of this second drop, what you're doing now as well.
Yeah, it's non-stop. Honestly, I think about it 24/7. It's all I think about. My days basically consist of waking up pretty early in the morning, working out because for me, work like exercising is number one only because it helps me work. Like I believe like it's obviously a creative field I'm in. It like sparks my creative flow once I've exercised. I really do believe that if you exhaust your body, you fuel your mind. So once I've worked out and whatnot, I can just commit all my time to work and the brand, and obviously, my partner. So they're the three things
Always
that.
time for your partner. You've always got to leave time.
Yeah, exactly. I had to keep that in there.
Yeah.
But
Shout out to Nathan's partner.
I always they're the three things like, and it's always if I work out first, then I just work. Yeah, I work a lot on the brand. Like I obviously, yeah, do want to take this seriously. I'm a firm believer. Like if you treat something like a side hustle, that's what it will be forever.
Mhm.
So I do treat it as like it's a full time job, which is what I do see happening in the near future.
Yeah, awesome. What type of exact planning you actually do? So when like for
For
me,
the
I don't know
for the
for
brand.
the brand. So like when you like
Yeah,
finish,
a lot goes into it.
yeah, I'd love to know like exactly like the little finites of it. I was gonna say like I'm like working on the podcast now. Obviously, you know that it's new, so I feel like for me, I'm just trying to like always brainstorm ideas, spend like hours and hours planning, and then also dedicating my time to record and edit and like take information in as well. So I'm actually also
Yep.
trying to draw inspiration from yourself too, personally, as to like what the work is put in, and like what you're doing to get the content out, and like how much time is required, and also for the audience as well that do end up listening to this as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, so that like there's a heap of work that goes in it. From like there's like obviously like building a brand identity, which I think is the most important.
Mhm.
Like making sure people know what your brand stands for. Because like at the end of the day, like for myself, for the brand, I want to create a community.
Yeah.
Like it's all good and well having followers, engagement, like the amount of views we got over the past like 15, 20 days was like absurd in the hundreds of thousands, and it doesn't mean anything if we don't have a community to stand by us and to work for and to work towards. So this brand identity work I'm always working on, and that stems through everything. So that's at the top. So like there's my brand identity, then there's all my design work, sampling things, resampling things, producing things. That's always happening as well to stay relevant and to keep the momentum of the brand going, which is really important, I believe. And then there's also social media, as we know, it rules the world these days. So social media marketing, creating content, creating a story, I believe is important. So doing that is another task. And then on top of that, there's all the marketing that's involved with it, like creating stories for our products, our marketing campaigns, being very specific in the way we produce things because it goes back towards that brand identity. We don't you don't just want to make something because it's trending or whatnot if it's not fitting in with the Requried co's values and like core statements. Well, then it's not for the Requried co and
Sure.
it's not for the people we're trying to attract. So everything is very strategic. The way we're like trying to produce things, the way we're trying to market things, and it's like I said, mate. I'm no expert, far from it. I'm learning this game just like you are. So I'm learning every day, and I think the only way you do that is from just putting in the work. You just learn as you go.
For sure.
Learn from people. I have a mentor as well, which is another
I think
side.
that's really important to have a mentor.
Yeah, which is
100%.
more work as well. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, I feel like it'll be all worth it in the end. So keep on going, I guess, with it. Yeah.
So I wasn't going to not talk about this moment with you on this episode, but I guess one of the main things that kind of kicked the brand off sort of like in there, for those that don't know, I think a lot of people would have known, is probably one of the craziest moments that I've probably ever witnessed or seen from like the outside looking in, and that's DJ Daddy Trance. So for those that don't know,
Oh,
Marlon Hoffstadt, he's a DJ. He came to Australia, and yeah, and there was a crazy story. Nate, I'm going to let Nathan obviously speak about it, but he basically wore his hat on the stage. And before we go into it, the throw that Nathan gave to this bloke was fucking unbelievable. Like straight, like it couldn't have been any better. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I feel like that's kind of like from the whole hard work. Like to me, from all the hard work that you got building that, and I'll let you talk about it, to then that moment that
yeah.
it actually happened and the throw to be like extremely perfect. Could you imagine you read it and just it didn't hit him? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think about how like if you couldn't have thrown it, it was literally fucking perfect.
Even I was so locked in at that moment in time. I didn't even think I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm like, it's happening.
There you go.
I remember, like, I
Athlete's
was like,
mentality there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But it's huge, but like people don't realize like that throw, that the execution is important to get him to wear the hat. But like, I just think for me, and this is me going real deep, it symbolizes like how much deserving it was for him to wear the hat and how like significant that throw was. And that like when I first
yeah.
saw it, like you put it in the chat with us. And like obviously we were all waiting for you to like, oh yeah, he's gonna fucking wear the hat. Let's go. We're getting updates. We're finding out. We're finding out. Then they say like he's got the hat. Everyone tags it, and then we get the video. And the first thing that I thought of was, fuck, that throw was unbelievable. But yeah,
Yeah,
just talk about all of it. Like go through the whole journey. Because obviously it went a little
yeah.
viral, didn't go too crazy, but it went viral enough for people to grab its attention. Obviously for Marlon Hofstad to get his attention. So yeah, just talk about that. And I think, yeah, it still kind of goes into that hard work sport that everything we're talking about. But I did not want to miss this one out because I was keen to actually
No,
get a dive in.
that's fair enough for sure.
Yeah,
I just wanted to talk about it as
yeah.
well.
I thought,
But yeah,
yeah,
exactly, exactly. Like I was saying, just quickly, I believe if you work hard, you get lucky, and then like you're ready for those lucky moments. And like I think the throw symbolizes that.
100%,
Honestly,
100%. It was literally like for me that knew like what it took as being your mate and behind the scenes. Like the throw was just like that's like, and it couldn't have been any better. Like if you did that 1,000 times, it may have hit him, but I'm telling you, it wouldn't have been as perfect as that throw. But yeah, go on about it because
yeah,
yeah, it still just amazes
yeah.
me.
Definitely what on the whole moment was by far the best moment of my life. I've Adelaide United, done Ironmans, done marathons, played against some pretty insane football teams, but this is number one. And basically how it started was I kind of have to thank my sister if I'm honest.
Okay,
I was sampling the hats at the time, and mind you, they were ready to go. They'd been ready, this is going to be quite wild. No one knows this, but this hat here was ready from July last year, and I just kept it under wraps because I was like, I want everything ready. So yeah, fast forward to about New Year's time, and my sister's like, Nath, can I take the hat to Beyond the Valley? And I was like, oh yeah, why not? Like, just wear it, have fun with it, whatever. Like, I'm gonna launch the brand like after all the New Year's festivities and whatnot. I'll launch the brand like a week later, 2 weeks later. Anyway, what took the hat to Beyond the Valley, and 10, 20 people came up to her being like, where's that hat from? I need it. Got photos in it, whatnot. Anyway, I posted that on TikTok, and it got a bit of a buzz. It went a bit viral. It got like, I don't know, 50, 60,000 views altogether. And then one day I was at the gym, I was at my home gym, and I decided to post a video up of myself in the hat, and I'm working out. training and I get a buzz on my phone and I look at it and I'm like, Marlon Hoffstadt has commented on your video.
Crazy,
And I'm
man.
like, what
Crazy.
is going on here?
Yeah, insane.
I was like, oh, fair enough. Marlon Hoffstadt, it's probably some fake account. He's got 5 followers or whatever. And yeah, I went on it, clicked on it, and it was him. And then yeah, he basically replied, he commented on the video, and then one thing led to another. I posted another video in the hat, and he then privately messaged me saying, bro, I need this hat.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I've got to run with this now and take it to the moon. So I basically posted out a video to the public saying Marlon Hofstadt's commented on my video. He like, let's get him to wear my hat on his set on Saturday.
Yeah.
And the one I was going to, and mind you, this was all with the span of a week. So the set was on Saturday. All this happened from the Monday previously. So it was like a 6-day span. And it was just constant back and forth videos. It ended up going to the extent of me putting out 2 designs for Marlon Hofstadt to get it custom made for him and him picking one. And he was that into it that he picked the design. He did everything and everyone was getting around it. Got like, I think in total it clocked in at like, before the time he'd actually received the hat, it clocked into like 100,000 views. So yeah, long story short, I get to the event and I'm actually getting comments while I'm at the event like, oh my God, you're the hat guy. Like, I know you, I've seen you on TikTok. And yeah, one thing led to another. Maluji's playing and whatnot, and then I see Marlon Hofstadt walk onto the stage and I'm like, fuck, I need to make this happen. Before I go any further, there was a pivotal point in the story. He messaged me after saying he wanted the hat. And I was like, how do I get it to you? Like, do you want me to come before, whatever? He's like, bro, bring the hat to the show. I'll make it happen. So yeah, fast forward, we're at the show. He walks up the stage. He's there. And I was like to my mate, Brandon, and I was like, bro, get me on your shoulders now. Get on his shoulders, and Marlon Hofstadt in front of the whole venue, packed, points at me and goes, throw it. And that's when it all happened. I just fucking took the hat off my waist and was like, bang, and it landed perfectly to him, and it was fucking crazy. He wore it for the whole set. It looked insane. After it, I got that many messages from people being like, bro, I need that hat, whatever. And I guess that explains why it sold out in like 2.5 hours. It was my first ever piece of clothing item I'd ever made, and it sold out within 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which was wild.
You can definitely say that would have had a massive impact on it. And again, I think,
sure.
And I think like that going through that hard work, even like in the week span to get that happening, like the desire and kind of that I mean, like motivation to do it is just what's like inspiring. And again, it's symbolized with the throw to me, but it's just crazy how like, I think it was by sheer coincidence as well, because like you only put the song in it because it was like BTV, and in the next week you're actually planning to go. So you would never have thought in a million years that Marlon Hofstadt would have commented on that video, because it wasn't even related to him at that stage. It was literally just a video of you promoting your brand. And that's just awesome to me. And I think for me, even like now just starting, like people that are just following my page now randomly and kind of like giving me words of encouragement motivates me as well. And I couldn't imagine now that you've got basically people that you don't even know that are like knowing about your brand. And tell me kind of how that feeling is and kind of how that motivates you as well. Because like you said, people are coming up to you now and calling you like the hat guy and someone that's running the Requried. And you're getting messages of people that are like inspired to kind of giving you that motivation. I feel like that's just the story. And I think that's the key of why we want to get success as well. It's not necessarily for me personally. I think for you as well, because we're pretty much aligned with this. It's not actually the results that we're keen for. It's just, I guess, how people react and perceive what we're doing and giving us that motivation and they're enjoying what we do. And I think that's real awesome. So I just wanted you to talk about that. Yeah,
I think it's all about the journey. If you enjoy the journey, everything else will come. Like, going back to being an athlete and whatnot, I'm the biggest believer and like emphasize delayed gratification. So like doing things without getting anything back for a very long time, which stems from being an athlete, endurance training, and the brand. So yeah, it's pretty surreal to be honest. Like I remember like looking at my brand's profile views last week or whatnot in the past 20 days and it was at like 128,000 people. And
Yeah,
just like now I get random messages from people being like, "Mate, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. You'll make this happen." It's super motivating. Like it honestly fuels me to just work 10 times harder every time. So like
yeah,
it's like endless. It's an endless supply of energy and
yeah,
motivation when you get those comments like that. And if they don't come, I think it's important for people to bring everything back to its core,
yeah,
scale everything back. Why are you really doing this for? Like I said, even if none of this had happened, I'd still be doing it because I love doing it and I want to make clothes for my best mates. So all the other stuff is just a bonus. Like and like the whole journey of it is what you enjoy.
for sure.
It's like my endurance training and whatnot, doing the Ironman, doing all my marathons and whatnot. It's actually the most enjoyable part is getting to the race. Once you finish the race, that feeling ends within half an hour. It's done. It's what you learn and what you gain enduring the process, like going through it, like getting up, training, doing working on my brand after hours in the morning, waking up at 4:30 to work on the brand, whatever it is, and like everyone's in their same in a in a different situation with that. So I think that's the most important thing is yeah, to enjoy the process like most importantly and then yeah, like I said, you if you work hard and like you do the right things and learn from your mistakes and whatnot, you'll get the rewards.
Yeah, 100%. And I think
Yeah.
touching on what you just mentioned earlier with those 100K views, you put up a reel that was like perfectly like explained and put into that like that perspective. That's basically a whole stadium, like equivalent to the MCG looking at your stuff. So if you actually put yourself in the middle of the MCG, like there's a lot of people like concerts, and you got Ed Sheeran, Eminem, they've come to MCG and they've performed over 100,000 fans. And okay, that's probably not to
Yeah.
that extent, but if you put yourself in that perspective, that 100,000 people's eyes are on what you're doing, and you envision that you being in the middle of the MCG, it's fucking crazy. Like even for me, like 100 people following my page. Like imagine I was like putting this podcast, and all those 100 people were just looking at me, watching. It's insane. Yeah, it's insane. It's like, and I think when you have that perspective, I guess that motivates me, and I guess that motivates you and people in general to continue going. And as you said, like the journey is always the fun part. It's never about the destination, because in the end, when you get there, you're always wanting more. That's like our human kind of mind. That's what we're programmed to do. We're always wanting more. So like that's the fun part of it. And I think what we can draw an inspiration to people listening, like if they're going through stuff or anything, is just to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and not really focus on that destination, because that destination, you're going to continue wanting more. But when you get to where you are, it's going to be better than what it is. And I firmly believe that as well. And then when it gets better than what it is, you want to continue going. And as in you just touched up on like the matter about like the successes and failures that go through. I guess what are some setbacks or some struggles have you actually gone through doing the Requried Co, and basically how you kind of overcame that, and how does it continue to, I guess, how do you continue to overcome it and motivate you to continue going forward?
There's been heaps. Like I have like setbacks like nearly every day with the brand. Like
Yeah.
there's always self doubt. Are people gonna resonate with this? Are they gonna like it or are they gonna resent it? Um, man, manufacturers like
Oh,
everything's done overseas, so like communication and whatnot can be difficult. And just like learning to like run a business, like there's endless issues. Like, but I just like I said, like you just got to like it's part of the process. Like it's kind of what you sign up for, like doing something like this, and like you just need to like take it with both hands and like just keep running with it, kind of thing. So I think what I've learned the most is that yeah, with no pun intended, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
mhm.
Like it's a long journey. Like you need to like really like refine things, create things people like really want to see and whatnot. It's not just about like, oh, if this thing doesn't work, I'm just going to give up or whatnot. Like, I honestly do believe if you don't give up, you win. Like, the only way you can lose is if you quit.
Yeah, I heard like something basically. I've been listening to a lot of mindset podcasts, and the main thing that they always say is like the only time you fail is when you give up. So as long as you don't give up,
Correct.
it's it. And that's like, I
Yeah.
don't mean to turn it to myself, but I think that's kind of my main goal at the moment is like doing this podcast, to be honest, and I don't really say this to a lot of people, but my main aim is to not give up and continue showing out and doing it. And I think that's probably the same with you. And that's what the main goal is, because I think
Yeah.
at times we've obviously gone through things, we've had our quote unquote failures, but if I continue to
Mm.
show up, or we continue to show up, I think the rewards will benefit, will reap those rewards in the future. And I guess speaking of the future, it ties into my next question. So I've obviously spoke about when the next potential few drops are coming, but looking forward and more further, looking 5 years past, what do you really see the brand going in the next 5 years? Like, what are your visions, if you do have any,
In
to
the
share?
next 5 years, I want to have a community that will like stand by the Required Co. Like
Sure.
a loyal community that is like a returning customer that really not only likes the products or loves the products, but lives like what the brand is for,
Sure.
like to impose need. Like
Hmm.
when I see someone in the brand, I know like right, they're the center of attention. They're like whether they want to be or not, they're important.
Of
And I
course.
want people to really like I want people to really feel that. That's the main goal of the brand.
Hmm.
If I can do that, whether sales, no sales, if I can do that to people, I'm doing my job as
Perfect.
being as directing the brand. Like that's the
Awesome.
direction I want to go. Like I think from my brand's ethos and whatnot, like from a very, very broad, high level perspective, that's the direction I'm heading in, is to like create a community where people really, really feel the clothes.
Yeah.
The products have meaning.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like a really high quality garment that you wear and you're like, fuck, this is good. It's like perfect example is Nike.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
people like live and die by Nike because it gives them a sense of meaning. Like it's just it gives people that power to do anything. So I want to do that within a streetwear sense, like impose need. I want like that 18, 19-year-old boy or girl that like if I ever get into the women's space, but for now, that 18, 19-year-old boy that maybe is a little bit timid or shy or whatnot, to put on the Required Co and to go out and be like, fuck, I feel good, I look good. Like, yeah, that's that's and like for the guy that has that confidence to just amplify that feeling to be like, mate, I'm fucking here, like I'm the center of attention. That's honestly like that is like everything that I want to do is like a statement piece. It's to make statements.
Well, it makes sense with the name, so no pun intended. Like to wear it and to be, and so then to require that, so that's required, you know?
Exactly, to be
Exactly.
important. Yeah,
It'd
to
be
impose
important.
need.
From
Yeah,
pause need,
that's the
yeah.
brand slogan.
No, awesome.
Yeah.
And I think probably yeah, just when we before we wrap it up with all the required stuff, just wanted to see if you had any advice for someone that is looking to start their own clothing brand, or looking to, I guess, start a business in the future, or kind of impose need as well in the future as well.
Um. Yeah, I do. I think like without like being too cliche or whatnot. I think honestly, if you're starting a brand or starting whatever you want to do or whatnot, I think the most important thing is to like have delayed gratification. Like no one really is an overnight success.
Yeah,
And like normally, if someone is an overnight success, they're literally a success for like a very short period of time. To create something that is long lasting, sustainable, and has longevity, I really think like you need to put the work in and need to really create something. So, and that comes from like being disciplined, having good ideas, being creative, and not giving up.
yeah,
Like to keep going, to like endure the process and like really live through the process. So I think they're the main like bits of advice I could give anyone is like, yeah, just like don't doubt yourself. Like if you don't believe in yourself, no one will.
For sure. No, that's great. It's great advice. And I resonate with that for sure. And definitely will use that advice applying into this podcast as well. So really appreciate that personally. We're going to wrap up with a few little quick fire questions just to end on a bit of a fun note. So who's your favorite athlete? I think I know this, but just for those that don't, or do you want me to guess? Do you want me to make
Yeah.
this interesting? Who are my favorite athlete? Who are your
Oh,
favorite
yeah,
athlete?
let's do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do that.
fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know
Yeah.
who would be now, but I know as a kid your favorite was Perlo, and the reason why I'm saying that is because
It's still the same. It's still the same. Like as an athlete, it's still the same. I think like as a role model athlete,
yeah,
like from like more like values and whatnot, it's probably like Cristiano Ronaldo, like on work ethic and whatnot. But growing up and still to this day, my favorite athlete ever is Pirlo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about the story when I remember like we were in like year 8. And we literally like were raving about Perlo non-stop. I remember like you used to trade in the chat. Like remember in the Euros when he did that chip with Joe Hart, you'd send like 100 photos of it in
Yeah.
our chat, and then I swear to God, like this is a crazy thing about coincidence, and I love this. Tell him about when you met him. Like that was fucked. Like we talk about the Hofstadt throw, which was unbelievable. This is also similar too because I remember it was
It was.
it
Yeah, it
wasn't
was
just
just a long
about
time ago.
it wasn't just about meeting him though. It was just like before that how much you literally like idolized him. And then you got that
Yeah.
photo to meet him. Like I might actually find that photo
Yeah.
one day and send it to you. But just talk about that
Yeah.
moment as well. But meeting your favorite
Yeah,
athlete.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was wild. They came to Sydney for like an A-League All-Star match or whatever it was, and yeah, my dad and I found out the hotel Juventus were staying at, and just waited, parked out there for like 5 hours, and then he came outside, and yeah, I was full shaking and whatnot when I
Unreal.
like saw him and got a photo with him. Yeah, he's my idol. Like I based like growing up my whole game off him. Like
Yeah.
same position, played very similar. Um, yeah, he's the greatest midfielder of all time.
So, hey, we
In
don't
my
do we
eyes.
don't we don't do hot takes here at the huddle within. So I am gonna go into that into that debate with you. But 100% I can understand and completely get it. Yeah, for sure. And then I guess your dream collab. That's a tough one. So who would you want to like collab with on the Required code? Who
Oh,
would be your
for the
dream?
brand.
Yeah, for the brand. Like I have heaps in my mind, but I would have no fucking clue, Nate. Like you could go with anyone.
One of them's probably happened. Marlon, like he was on like my radar for a very long time, and lucky enough I did get to do that. But in terms of other athletes or like collabs, models, whatever, that I would love to see my clothes or work with, like thinking massively here, would either be Camavinga or probably Jude Bellingham.
Okay, why is
Would
that
be
the case?
cool.
That's interesting. I like that one.
I obviously Camavinga's a model for Balenciaga, so he's like probably the most fashionable footballer I know, and Jude Bellingham is just Jude Bellingham at the moment. Like he's a trendy guy. The great footballers, great athletes, um, big characters, which is like what I want for the brand. And yeah, I'd say honestly they fit. That's why they fit the bill perfectly.
Nice. And probably the last question I've got for you, just going back to sports, what would be your best sporting memory? Something that you've probably watched in the
Oh,
past. Like a moment.
watched
Yeah, like a moment in sports that you've probably
that I
witnessed.
was a part of or watched.
That you've watched, that you've witnessed. Like a
Oh,
professional. Yeah,
oh, that is hard, man. Because like I'm actually trying to think. Like the easy answer would be like the 2006 World. Oh no, sorry, Italy winning the Euros. That was my best mark. Yeah, because I was a little bit older then. The 2020 Euros. That was insane. Lygon Street.
yeah, it went off. I do remember
Yeah,
that moment. It
that
would have
was
been,
mental. When
yeah,
Donnarumma saved that penalty,
yeah,
that was
that's
fucked,
unbelievable. Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, that was a big one for them. So,
bro. That was
no,
insane. Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah. Was this, we just got out of COVID, right? We had that little
Yeah,
moment.
because it was
Yeah,
like it was labeled the 2020 Euros, but it was in 2021.
that's right. That's right. And yeah, I remember we just took advantage. I think that was a great moment for us because when we got out of lockdown, there was something to look forward to. We were able to feel good about going out, and that's why it made it like I think so much better. And the fact that probably Italy won of all countries was probably the best thing, because in Melbourne here, there's a massive Italian presence and a massive culture, and everyone was able to kind of see that on the world stage. And then winning the Euros just made it a whole lot better. Like Ligon literally went off from what I saw in all the videos. I remember we went to the one in Spain, and when they beat Spain in penalties, and that went off. So I couldn't have imagined Italy or the Ligon Street when they beat England. So that's a good one. I do like that.
What about yours?
Oh, mine. My favorite moment, right? Probably Collingwood winning the 2023. It's that winning the grand final, or actually when I went to Old Trafford and saw United beat Liverpool 2-1. And that was back in 2022. That was Ten Hag's first reign as a coach, like his first 3 games. We just came off the 4-0 loss to Brentford as well. And the funny thing about that was I was actually supposed to go watch United versus Leeds. And then I decided, you know what? We were in Belgium at the time. I was with my cousin. And I decided, I was like, look, United Liverpool's this week. We're in Belgium. The tickets are cheap. Should I just take the risk and do it? I was a bit scared because obviously we came off that 4-0 win. But then something in me thought, like, that's the game you want to go to. That's like the things you're made of. You're in Europe. You might as well just take the risk and watch it. So then decided to buy the tickets, cancelled my Leeds United ones, went to the game and obviously won, which was unbelievable. And it was probably the best decision I made because, that week that we were supposed to play Leeds, the Queen actually passed away. So all the games that were on that weekend got cancelled.
Got postponed.
So if I actually didn't go to the Liverpool game, I would have waited and invested to go into that Leeds game, and I never would have gone because it was literally a week before I went back to Australia. So yeah, I say that's fate. So I got to say that's probably one of my favorite, and then the other would be the Pies winning the grand final as well, because I was actually there. I actually was lucky and fortunate enough to go to the grand final too and watch it, and it's always been my dream to watch an AFL grand final. And the fact that we won by less than 4 points, those two are kind of just at the top of each other.
That.
Yeah,
it's
a good game.
Good. I actually remember one.
Yeah. I know it's crazy because Collingwood always make it close. If you've seen the other grand finals, a lot of them have been proper blowouts, but Collingwood always seems to have the closest grand finals. From the last 6 years, or from 2018 to now, the 2 closest grand finals, Collingwood have been involved in both of them, and they were both by 4 points. So that's just how it works, I guess, with them. But anyways, we'll probably wrap it there. Guys, if you guys want to be keen and looking up to the latest news, be sure to follow the Requried Co. Now you know a lot about Nathan's history and story. Hopefully that inspires you all to kind of pursue your dreams and everything, and also really understand the hard work that Nathan's gone through to get out this brand. So when the second launch does come out, keep in track for it and make sure you purchase some of the clothes and just support the journey as well. And Nath, I got to say thank you so much for tuning in here. We actually had a power out, so we had to come back and record this little fucking closeout. So we're just gonna wrap this up now. But again, Nath, thank you so much for sharing your story and everything, and hopefully your brand continues to grow to the success that it deserves from what I know you as a mate, and keen to see the journey as well from my side. So wish you all the best, man.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you. No, appreciate it. Likewise, your journey is going to be one to watch as well. I'm keen for the episodes.
Sweet, sounds good. Alrighty, guys, we'll leave it there. Take care. That's a wrap for this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in and being part of the community where we go beyond the game into what really matters. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who sees sports just the way that we do. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on my social medias, which will be linked down on the episode below and also into the podcast description. Send in your thoughts or even be part of a future episode. Until next time, keep that passion alive, stay in the huddle, and remember, it's always deeper than the game. Until next time, cheers.